a brand new set picture has leaked, giving us our first look at Clayface in the upcoming DC movie. And this is wild. Today we're going to break down that image, talk about what it could mean for the story, and dive into the comics and horror inspirations, including Mike Flanagan fingerprints all over this project. So, the photo shows Tom Rhys-Harris as Matt Hagen bandaged on his head and face, bloody and shirtless. Now, at first glance, this doesn't scream Clayface, but if you know Matt Hagen's story, this makes a ton of sense. In Batman the Animated Series, Hagen was a once famous actor who suffered a terrible accident and in desperation turned to experimental treatments. Those treatments twisted his body, giving him shape-shifting powers, but also cursed him to live as a melting, unstable creature. The bandages could be covering early disfigurement, or hinting at his first attempts to keep himself together before he fully mutates. This leak could be from an early scene before Hagen loses control of his new form. Maybe we'll see his gradual descent into madness as he realizes his body can no longer hold a permanent shape, and every performance, every identity is slipping away. If so, the film might start with him as a struggling actor, scarred and broken, desperately trying to hold on to his career and identity. The experiments that give him his powers could be shown as horrifying body horror. It would be safe to imagine injections, flesh twisting, and his face literally refusing to stay still. That's exactly the kind of material Mike Flanagan would thrive on. Mike Flanagan's work is all about tragedy wrapped in horror. Think Hill House, Midnight Mass, or Dr. Sleep. Characters that are haunted by loss, addiction, and the ghosts of who they used to be. Hagen's arc fits perfectly. He's literally addicted to a chemical that keeps him stable, but every time it wears off, he becomes a monster. That's horror as a metaphor, and that's Flanagan's bread and butter. You can easily picture him framing Clayface not just as a comic book villain, but as a deeply broken man. A performer addicted to masks and roles, until he becomes a monster made entirely of masks with no true self underneath. Poetic yet horrifying, a perfect modern-day horror. Hagen's origin in Batman the Animated Series is pure body horror. His face bubbling flesh, stretching into grotesque forms. It's like something out of a Cronenberg movie like The Fly. That's probably the biggest influence for the film's horror tone. You could also see them pulling inspiration from classic monster films like The Phantom of the Opera or The Invisible Man, tragic figures hiding their deformities until they can't anymore. Hagen, with his reliance on chemicals and his desperate clinging to his old identity, also channels stories of addiction and decay. If they lean into that, we could get a genuinely scary and heartbreaking villain origin. So thanks to this set photo, it looks like we're getting a Matt Hagen who is broken, disfigured, and desperate, spiraling into a monster he can't control. If Flanagan leans into the psychological side of that story, we could be looking at DC's first true horror tragedy on the big screen. And honestly, Clayface might just become one of the most memorable live-action villains we've ever seen. But what do you guys think? Does this set photo feel more like the tragic Matt Hagen we know from the animated series, or are you expecting a full-on monster Clayface right away? Drop your theories in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this crazy project and also future set photo speculations. Maybe Supergirl? Or lanterns? DC is seriously stepping up their game, and I can't be the only one that wishes this film released next month. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.